Good morning again. Good morning, Zoom friends. I'm so happy to be here. I'm just gonna take this in for a minute. Let me just take this in for a minute. So as I was preparing for today, I was wondering, what would I talk about? What sort of wisdom could I impart? And I was struggling. So in Rev Sonia's wisdom, she told me, speak from your heart, speak what you know, just tell your journey. Just be real, say it like it is. So here we are. So as I was preparing, one Sunday evening, Rev Sonia had texted me to let me know that Joni Mitchell was going to be on the Grammys. And I don't know if you're a fan, but Joni has gotten me through life, through tears, through heartache, through joys. She is my heart. So I was excited to watch that, and I turned in, went on, and I don't know if you saw it, it was like mesmerizing. I was in awe, and I was complete. I don't usually watch the Grammys, but I kept it on for a little while. Shortly after, Billy Joel came on, and he began to sing his new song. And as I was listening to the first few lyrics, I began to cry, like really cry. Like having a moment cried by myself, crying, and I'm wondering, why was I so overwhelmed? What was happening? And it was somewhere between an epiphany and a punch to my gut. And I sat there in silence, wondering, why was I so affected? Why was this being presented to me? Because it felt like this moment came and I was to receive a message in this moment. So over and over and over again, I kept hearing the lyric. Have I waited too long to turn the lights back on? Have I waited too long to turn the lights back on? And I don't know what Billy Joel meant by it, but I knew what it meant to me. And I paused for a moment, and I knew there was some sort of deep universal message in that. Some shared experience, something profound, sadness, regret, there was something to those lyrics. And then I thought about myself and what came to me. I was wondering, was I waiting for happiness to come? Was I living my life waiting for happiness to come? Or maybe for it to return? Or maybe this was in response to I'm gonna be 60 in September, and I'm in full life review mode, and maybe I'm reflecting on all the years, your regrets, right? All the things, the years going by. Maybe not feeling like I was fully present all those years. Perhaps I was not unhappy, but was I really happy? Was I waiting for that happiness to come? Was I waiting for things to get better in my life before I had permission to be happy, right? All the planets need to align, and then I can be happy. That day will come. Again, the lyrics, the lights. Did I wait too long? Were they dimmed? Are we stuck in our stories? Do we sometimes get stuck in our narrative? And does that dim our lights? Are we sometimes insulated in armor that protects us and harms us at the same time? Do we sometimes sit in shame and depression and grief? Or just not feel anything? Kind of in that neutral space. The secrets we keep from others, ourselves, perhaps. Did I wait too long to turn the lights back on? I kept hearing these words, and it blew me into further reflection. And I reflected on the past several years. COVID, all we've been through, all the things that had changed, and Jack. He was the person who took flight, rode his bike for hours, was witty, charming, funny, active, very, very kind, and one who lived his life with no regrets. He was also very ill. Overnight, he went from bike rides to walker to wheelchair to home health aide to long-term care facility to ... So I reflected, and it was a deeply sad time for everyone, right? Wondered, was this yet another grief and loss cycle I was to go through? I had become so accustomed to the sick caretaking, dying, grieving, yet another loved one. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Was this yet another circumstance that was to dim my lights? Maybe. Dim Jack's lights? Whose lights? In the chaos of sadness and uncertainty, I had closed my eyes to the gift that was buried deep in that sadness. I think I got it wrong. Unbeknownst to me, Jack was living a double life. He had a side hustle. He had moved into a long-term care facility. This was a startling yet beautiful revelation. He was secretly spending his days sitting for hours with residents who were on hospice in their final hours of the dying process. He would motion for his aide to wheel him to random people's rooms, and somehow he had a sixth sense who needed what. No words exchanged, just simple, loving presence, while no one was looking. He was fully love in action, my spiritual hero. All of us who knew Jack had gotten it wrong. His lights were not dimmed, his were bright. We had assumed he had been living in the darkest, wounded time managing an unforgiving illness. We overlooked that he had the ability to know what was best for him. We were so busy making the assumptions that his quality of life was not what it once was, but he needed to express himself beyond his walls. We assumed he wasn't happy. He was not broken. He was not the wounded one. His ability to follow his inner compass and guide allowed him to connect him to his authentic purpose, his light. He didn't need people to drag him to activities that he didn't want to go to just because they thought he should be doing that. Those were all inauthentic expressions of community. Yes, he was someone who needed help with all his basic needs, except one: purpose. Purpose he defined on his own terms. In his life, he needed to create his meaning, his spiritual journey. He connected in community by lending his heart to those who were walking to the edge of the planet. That sacred time. What his mind could not process, his heart could. Do we trust our inner knowing? Do we listen to it? Do we know what we really need? We have the answers. Do. While no one was looking, Jack was experiencing community, connection, purpose, joy in his way. He held space simply by being love. As his illness progressed, his capacity to love and be loved grew greater. His expectations were not frivolous, demanding, simply love. What gifts do you possess? What beautiful parts of yourself show up in service, show up in the world? What do you give to others while no one is looking? We all have something. We all have something. Throughout this process, I began to kind of experienced some real serious lessons in life. You know, turning the lights back on, I got it. Being present, got it. All these lessons I'd learning. And then I moved along on my journey, and the poet Rumi appeared. This kind of reinforced the message and the lesson. Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." The wound is the place where the light enters you. I have wounds. I think we all do, right? Grief, sadness, anger, shame. Those are the parts of ourselves we want to deny. It's our brokenness, right? I got that wrong again. I had assumed that my grief and loss were my shadows and darkness and wounds, the place where I was hoping that the light would enter. The reality is, I had been in the shadows long before all that. The shadow we create by disconnecting, not being fully present in life, and just kind of going through the motions, going through the days, going through the motions. That was my shadow and wound, not the tragic story of events. The shadow came to light in what some call a tragedy, but what I call an awakening. Jack created the space and circumstances for my spiritual awakening. It was a difficult time, very difficult time, but it was not tragic. It was sacred and beautiful. Jack was the light waiting to emerge from what appeared to be despair and sadness. I soon appreciated that my heart had been cracked open, creating the space for that light to enter. I think I finally got it right. His life and actions were the light that entered the wound, my wound. Our pain, struggles, and vulnerabilities can be openings for growth, transformation, and enlightenment. Our deepest challenges and emotional wounds can lead to greater understanding, greater wisdom. Insight enters through our wounds. What do your wounds say to you? What are the hidden messages? Our pain and challenges can be filled with those hidden messages. Our shadows or dimmed lights do not always mean despair. It can be the gateway for introspection. In the quiet shadows, we can listen to our intuition, guiding us to places we may have ignored or never seen. Walk through what is and make space for the light, for love. So soon after, I came to seminary. I had much loss in my heart, and the grief was multiplying over the years and over the years. And by the way, coming to seminary was like my never have I ever kind of thing. Like I'd never thought about it. I don't know, just never thought about it. And the universe saw things differently. I began to follow my inner guide, just like Jack did. Not resisting, full surrender mode. This made life so much easier. I did not lead the decisions. The decisions led me. So when I decided to come to seminary, I felt like the lights were being turned back on for me. Everything fell into place, and I knew that something truly remarkable had happened to bring me to this moment. It wasn't a matter of just making a bad situation better or reframing something spiritually to make it feel better for me, but it was a divine directive. I felt compelled to be of service, to use the lessons I had learned from Jack to keep my heart open and shine my light back into the world as he did. It was a simple mandate and an important one. which allowed me to strengthen my connection with Spirit, to be that beacon of hope and love in the world. Happiness finally arrived. I was led to face the pain caused by my wounds and embrace all aspects of myself, leaving nothing behind in my wholeness. Those hidden parts had come to surface and were acknowledged. By surrendering my pain and vulnerability to Spirit, I experienced profound spiritual healing and restoration. I was no longer suppressing my true self, dimming my own lights. There is great wisdom to be found in our wounds, and when the conditions are right, our wounds can become our greatest teachers. What broke my heart opened my heart. Only when I experienced pain did it make space for the light to come back into my life. I invite all of us to engage in healing, growth, and enlightenment, and allow our wounds to be the necessary catalysts for transformation and the emergence of light. The wound's job is to change us. Healing requires surrendering to what we do not know, stepping into the unknown. To surrender to the wisdom of the wound is to receive it as a blessing, trusting that the wound knows how to heal and how to liberate us. The wound is the blessing. The blessing comes as a wound. May your broken heart and wounds be filled with the light. Jack's job is now my job, and that is to hold space for others and love. His life and death brought me to Rev Diane, who is on Zoom now, who brought me to Rev Sonia, who brought me to seminary, which led to this moment, and here we are in this beautiful moment. Things turned out exactly as they were meant to. Trust in it all. Thank you for sharing this beautiful morning with me, and may the light continue to enter your deepest places. Have a blessed day. Thank you. Thank you.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.